Syria. I'm joined by John R. Bradley. He's a specialist on Arab countries and author of the book After the Arab Spring. Well, some opposition members have said that they reject any idea of talks with President Assad. Why is that?
Because they're under huge pressure from outside powers who want these talks to fail, even before they begin. Most obviously NATO. NATO is determined to bring the Assad regime to its knees as a prelude to invading Iran and also to further marginalizing Russia. You have the Western media, which loves wars. Wars boost ratings, which in turn boosts advertising revenue. And last but by no means least, you have Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Saudi Arabia is financially and politically backing the civilian opposition, and Qatar has been widely reported to be funding and arming the jihadi rebels who are leading this insurrection. Now, obviously, apart from doing NATO's dirty work, Saudi Arabia and Qatar hate the Syrian regime for a simple reason. It's secular. This is the only secular country that's left in the Middle East now. We've seen the overthrow of secular regimes throughout the region during the past year, and in their place, Islamists, who are often very closely aligned with Saudi Arabia and Qatar, if not funded by them, have taken their place. And so this is the Saudi, Qatari, Wahhabi revolution, and its culmination will be the overthrow of the Assad regime, the death of the final secular state in the Arab world, and it's obvious who will take their place, the radical jihadists and their counterparts in the Muslim Brotherhood.
And you say a little earlier Moscow being marginalised, but Moscow is being very proactive here, pushing for those talks. We know, of course, that the Western and Arab states are actively pushing for a UN resolution, which actually seems to imply foreign intervention, which is what you say is likely to happen. Is that really going to happen next, you think, that in the same way that we saw the intervention in Libya?
That's their goal. Basically, Syria is the last bastion of opposition to this bizarre political alliance that's trying to take over the Arab Spring. Between this alliance that is formed by America, Israel and Saudi Arabia. Russia, of course, has its own vested interests. But we can be absolutely sure that this has nothing to do with human rights when it comes to the West concern, and even more sure when it comes to the concern of Saudi Arabia. This is how preposterous the Western media coverage is of this uprising. Saudi Arabia, of all the countries on earth, complains about human rights abuses on the part of the Assad regime and says it's withdrawing its monitors because it doesn't want to be a false witness to human rights abuses. I mean, Saudi Arabia has a reputation second perhaps only to North Korea in the world for repressing and oppressing and torturing and imprisoning its own people. And so the fact that this can be taken seriously by anyone just shows what level of farce that the coverage in the Western media has fallen to.
Now, Russia believes it's actually foreign intervention that would have even more of a destabilizing effect in the region. The US Secretary of State thinks otherwise. She's saying that President Assad is making peace impossible by attacking the Syrian people. But that foreign intervention, what impact, not just in Syria itself, would that have then on a wider basis? And what is Russia actually concerned about there?
I mean, foreign intervention, look what's happened in Libya as a result of foreign intervention. You have Islamist militias ruling Tripoli. You have intertribal warfare. You have the imposition of Sharia law. You have desperate economic circumstances in a country that was actually very economically prosperous. And all this in the name of basically an oil grab, of shutting out China from Africa. So Russia, of course, has that experience to draw on, and once bitten, twice shy. They know that if they support a UN resolution that even ostensibly is aimed only at protecting civilians, it will be used by NATO as an excuse to impose a no-fly zone while the Qataris and Saudis fund the jihadis on the ground. And so Russia is essentially crucial in all of this. Russia absolutely must veto any UN resolution that comes at the behest of the NATO allies Saudi Arabia and Qatar in the near future, because it will just be an excuse for an invasion, and that will lead to a civil war so bloody, so ferocious, so murderous, that it will make what happened in Libya look like a high school prom by comparison.
Right. John R. Bradley, thank you so much for your time. Specialist on Arab countries there and author of the book After the Arab Spring. Thank you for your thoughts and sharing those with us here on RT.
Thanks.